Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to our monthly Child Life Q&A. I'm Deanna Bryan. I'm the program manager at Hope for HIE. I'm here with Andy Gunning, who is our certified child life specialist and certified grief counselor here at Hope for HIE. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning in as today really marks the end of Hope in Action HIE Awareness Month. Annie has been working really, really hard the last couple of months to revamp and do all of this SOAR and Super Sibs support programming, and I've been helping her upload it onto our new learning management system, which we're going to talk about today. So we just wanted to give you all a virtual tour. If you're anything like me, you want to look at it and try it before you buy it, right? So we were like, why don't we just give people an inside look at everything that Annie's worked so hard to create for children growing up and living their lives with HIE for SOAR, and then their siblings and also siblings of those who have died from HIE, because we also have Super Sibs for our lost families as well. So if you're just tuning in to see what this looks like, if you're interested in wanting to know how to get started and learn more, just want a quick walkthrough, you're in the right place. Yes. So we made this presentation for you, and we're excited to share it with you. Right, Annie?
Yes, I'm so excited to do this. I think this was a great idea to kind of cap off our HIE Awareness Month and to get our HIE kids and Super Sibs involved and be a great way to show their parents how they can, what the platform is, what the program is. So yeah, I'm excited to get going.
All right, so the way this is going to work today is we're going to kind of divide and conquer. We're going to start with our SOAR support programming for teens and tweens of children navigating their lives with HIE, and then we'll end with our Super Sibs information. You'll understand by the end of this how to register, and if you have any questions, who to reach out to, what the timing of all of this looks like, so on and so forth. So here we go, slide 2. I'm going to take this one over because this is all about Canvas. So let's flash back 5 years, I suppose, to 2020 and a little thing called COVID. And life changed dramatically for many people. And one of those big changes was really in the educational system, where we had to go from in-person to virtual. And so there are all of these learning management programs that kind of gained popularity, and Schoology, maybe some people have heard of. Canvas is another really popular one too. And so Canvas is just an online learning management system. It's just a platform where we can upload materials and encourage engagement, but in a virtual way, where things are really organized, consistent, and efficient. So with my teaching background, I was like, why don't we put everything we're doing for SOAR and Super Sibs, and let's put it online. And really there were 4 pillars or 4 reasons, I suppose, that kind of drove this decision. First of all, we want everything to be accessible. So when we are looking at SOAR and Super Sibs, we have accrued all of this interest, but depending on when you register, if you registered maybe, let's say, 4 or 5 months after we opened registration, you missed out on 1 or 2 mailed kits for Super Sibs, and that really bumped us out, because when you register for something, we want it to be so you have it accessible to you anytime, anywhere, and that it's convenient for your life and your circumstances. So moving all of our stuff to this online platform gives also worldwide access to all of these learning materials and games and activities and interactions. It's self-paced. So instead of logging on, like for SOAR, every other Sunday for 5 weeks, and let's hope the time zone difference is okay, and let's hope that you don't have anything going on with your family to join. This is something where we give a digital drop, and you can go through it at your pace. You can start, you can stop, you can revisit it. It's flexible, so you can progress through these activities, progress through these modules. If you register 6 months down the road, guess what? Things that we are making available today, those aren't archived or and unaccessible. You can access them, you can go through them. But it also has this online engagement component to it for, parents or adults out there, and you're like, to social media. Like, we get it. And this is a way for your kids to interact with other peers without the stressors of Instagram or Facebook or, I don't know, TikTok, all of the things. I'm like 80 when it comes to technology and social media, so I'm not really privy to a lot of that stuff, but I do, as a mom, understand the stressors that come with that. I want my kid to engage with others who get their journey and understand them, but in a monitored space. And this allows that interactive component, but in a safe place. So those are really the 4 reasons why we went with this online platform. There are more benefits to it as well. But we think you're really going to like this. And this is really kind of the, we took all of this feedback from parents throughout SOAR and Super Sibs, and because we had basically a year under our belt now between the 2 of them, and we listened and we said, what can we do with this feedback to make it better and make it more accessible and engaging for families in a way that works for their schedule and a way that works for the circumstances of their life, and this, we think, is a pretty good solution. So we're excited to bring it to you. That's enough for me. And now Annie's going to talk to you about what SOAR is, because we'll start with that support programming first.
Yes. And just to piggyback a little bit about what Deanna said, because she's the one who looked into Canvas and realized what a great platform it would be. So I am really excited that she found this and worked through everything and has found a way to make this really interactive and engaging for our community. Because like she said, this was the feedback we were getting. And so we want to make sure this is offered to everyone. The time zone thing was an issue. And it doesn't mean we can't do the live thing sometimes, because we'll talk about that more too. But this just gives us, we thought this platform was going to be the best for what we were trying to achieve. So
absolutely,
I am very excited that, especially you were a teacher and you have all of these extra skills that you put into this. So to talk a little bit about SOAR, SOAR is our program for our kids that have HIE, and it stands for Support, Ownership, Advocacy, and Resilience. So this is created because we want to obviously offer support to all these kids that have HIE. They want the feedback, they want their own community. They want their own space. They want to know other kids that are like them. And they want to be able to talk with other kids who have the same experiences they do, who are going through similar situations they're trying to navigate and work through as they're growing up and getting older, and trying to work through not only things with medical complexities that they're having in the medical experience, but just with their peers. There's the socialization. So that's one of the biggest things. We want to bring kids together. And we want them to be able to take ownership of that. So that's part of this platform too. This is their space. Obviously we're monitoring it and I'm posting things on here, but this is for them. We want them to be comfortable sharing stuff about themselves, questions that they have, things that come up. This is their space to process their emotions, the things that they're going to, the things that they want to know more about, the questions that they have. This is for them. Mm-hmm. And then while we're doing that, I also want to help empower them to become better, to become advocates for themselves. Advocates in, again, their socialization, their peer situations. How can we talk about, when we're out in a social situation with friends, whether it's at a sporting event or a mall or just at school, what kind of tips can we help them so they can have that empowerment and they can advocate for themselves and what they want to do? But also a huge part, for me as a child life specialist, is that advocacy in when they're having those medical experiences. I want them to know that there's things that they can ask for. There's always things that we can try to do and work on. They have the right for preparation, for comfort, for pain medication, for decrease that fear, that anxiety. They have the right to all of those things. And I want to help give them the voice to be able to ask for that, because that's really empowering, especially in those medical situations. And then through all these things, I think that helps create that resilience in helping them move forward. So now we have this community. We do have kids that are like us. We do have somebody else that's like us. They do have a similar story. Okay, look what they're doing now. And we want that to also just help them keep moving forward in their journey.
Yes.
In a positive and in a fun way and in an engaging way.
Absolutely. So how does SOAR work, Annie? There's a bunch of components that we've figured out and navigated together. So for parents and adults out there wondering,
yeah,
what does this look like?
Yeah, the first thing we did, we divided into 2 age groups, 7 to 11 and 12 plus. And I know we are missing the younger age group, but because this is a platform that uses we're using a virtual platform, it's just going to work better for kids that 7 and up. That doesn't mean we can't offer support and do things for kids that are younger. I am here for that. If there's something else in that younger age group that we need, let us know. I am absolutely all for creating something for that age group too. But when we were trying to talk more about the age group that was interested, the feedback we were getting, it was these age groups that we were getting the most need, I guess we should say.
Yes.
So they are divided into these 2 age groups for the monthly drop. So a monthly drop would be, I think our first one is now, for May.
Yeah, it's
so
technically today.
Today.
It's going to be accessible today. As soon as we're done with this presentation, we're going to send out that email. So
yeah, and everybody will get we'll talk about that at the end, but everybody will get their access code and all the information they need to join. So we'll do monthly drops. So each month there'll be some type of information on, and I think we'll go into this a little bit more and show examples, but activities, discussion points that can be interactive, that kids can chime in on and talk to one another, or it might be just some type of an engagement that I might put out there. So one month will be a little bit more information and bigger, and then the next month might just be an engagement. Like, let's get a discussion question going. Let's drop a virtual space. Let's do some resources. That's all on there too. And then there's also always space for kids to be able to ask questions and to one another and to me. Like if there's something specific they want, oh my gosh, I would love that. And then we can talk about that on there. And again, it's self-paced for that flexibility. So anytime they're feeling like they want to hop on there and look up some stuff, they can do that at any time they want. Once they have that access code, they can do it whenever they need to. Yeah. We were also looking at, we talked about this last year, doing some virtual meetups. So we did do a virtual component last year, and it just didn't work out, and we weren't getting out of it what we had hoped and how we thought it would look. And again, time zones, everybody's schedules, it just really was making it difficult to have a solid group that was able to come every week. And I wanted it to build upon, one week build upon another, and we just weren't able to do that. So we're going to switch and try something else, because I think that, seeing people and talking to them is still really important, and doing these virtual meetups is important. So we did mention last year trying to incorporate teleplay, which is through Project Sunshine. And so we are still going to be working on that. I have been in contact with Project Sunshine, and we're getting the ball rolling, filling out the forms and everything. So that is going to be, I think, a fun thing that we're going to be adding. That I will be on that, but there's also going to be Project Sunshine has trained volunteers that are the ones who are in charge of these sessions. So it'll be a fun session that's interactive with games and things like that. So, and then we also might do something with maybe just our group with me doing something, down the road, doing, hey, we're just going to do this meetup, and it's going to be this Tuesday, and come join us if you can. Like, you don't have to sign up, but we're here. Join us if you can. And then we also have, like I mentioned, virtual hangout space. So that's just we'll look at that more. That's a space where you can look into a room, and it might have a playroom. It might have, or it will be kind of like a playroom, hangout room, but it might have some resources on there. It might have some coping strategies, some fun games, different things like that. And then, as always, like I said, there's always I'm always sharing resources. I find so much stuff along the way. So sometimes I'll pop it in there for kids to be able to listen to, read, watch. It might be a video, just different things like that.
Yeah. And there's also for SOAR and Super Sibs too, don't want to get too ahead, helpful resources for family members, like parents and legal guardians or whoever the safe adult is in their family who's kind of monitoring the experience. So it's not always, there are resources for parents on here too. So it's not, everything's not just for kids. So
Yes,
other just really quick notes about SOAR. Again, we've taken all the feedback. We've tried really hard to pivot and apply and switch things. But everything that you see on this it's credible and it's curated by Annie, who's a certified child life specialist. And so I want people to know that these aren't just random Googled activities that we find online. We say, hey, that looks good. This is like created by someone is trained and has years of expertise developing these curated tools for people. So it's very credible, it's very reliable, and the things that Annie you've come up with are just astounding. And I do feel like, from a teacher standpoint, I'm looking at these, I'm like, get it, girl. Like, this is great.
No, thank you. They're all very intentional. Like with each one that I come up with, each resource, I read it, I watch it, and I'm like, okay, I like this one. So they are, like you said, like I do make sure they're very intentional. I have goals behind each of them. So yeah, we're not just slapping stuff on there for the sake of putting it on
there. Absolutely not, because it's just pretty or fun. You're right. It's built with purpose, but they are pretty and fun too.
Yeah.
It's renewable too. So what I mean by that is this is not just like you sign up April 30th and then next April 30th, like you're out of stuff. I mean, Annie is creating new things every single year. Not to say that we don't recycle ideas or we don't recycle purpose or intent, but this is not just a 1 year membership type of situation. This is something that is recurring, and we're growing and changing, and it's very dynamic in that sense. And I think that's wonderful too. So, if your child, a SOAR or Super Sib child, is 7 years old, by the time they're 9, this shouldn't be redundant for them. It's not like, anyways, I was like, it's not like my daughter has been in ballet for like 3 years now and she's getting bored with it because she's like, how many more times?
Right.
She's looking for some tap, right? Yeah. So like, we're going to switch it up. We're going to add variety to it. And then one of the biggest things that we've talked about too is moving to a virtual online platform. We don't want to get rid of that fun mail component. So every now and then there will be a fun mail drop. It could be something small and just that goes along with the theme of what we're doing. It could be a supply needed for an interactive or like a build it yourself type of kit that we've uploaded the directions online. Every year, it'll change. And obviously, the more funding that we have with this too, the more we're able to provide to a family, without we always want to limit any type of financial burden on our families, because support programming like this should be accessible and available and inclusive to everybody, no matter where they are or who they are. But, this is something that we're going to look into. And if it were up to us, we would just Oprah it to everybody. And you get this amazing kit in the mail. You get this amazing kit. But for now, we're going to start small, so you can still expect those fun mail drops. But the goal is to build it, whether with the more funding or as we grow. That would be amazing. So that's a goal for me personally too.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Everyone's like, all right, I just want to see it. I want to see what it looks like.
It looks so wonderful and beautiful.
Yeah. And when you log on, I mean, there are interactive components that like, we didn't want to just, when we tested out this, we were having issues with internet and loading the page, and it just didn't look very professional, and that bothered me. So, which is why we kind of made this presentation, went that route. But when you log on, like the homepage it moves, and like the wind blows with it. It's really cool. And like the welcome to SOAR you see right there, that's a video that starts playing when you enter. So there are things that I want, obviously, that we don't translate via this presentation, but you get the idea. I'm going to talk about the homepage because and I built that, and then Annie will talk about the content behind the homepage too on the next slide. But essentially, the wonderful thing I love about Canvas is you click on icon or click on a photo and it brings you to where you want to go. So when you see something that says virtual hangout or discovery space, you click on it, it brings you to that page. So it's very easy to understand, very intuitive. You don't have to sit here and search and squint your eyes and be like, where am I going? It makes a lot of sense. Annie talked about the virtual hangout space. We're going to talk about that too. I tried to make it very clear and intentional of where to go when you logged on. So obviously, if your ages 7 through 11 and you're in that support programming, you would click on that. And if you're 12 above, you click on that. One thing I forgot to mention is, the ages are on here, but let's say this is not just age, it's all a developmental stage. So if you have a child who's younger, but you thinks older, try out the 12 plus content. If you have a child who's older, but you think they'd benefit from the age 7 through 11 programming, check out the content. Like I'm not going to hold you to it.
Yes.
So,
can I make an additional comment on that? I had a parent reach out, and this is why we say, please contact us with questions. I had a parent reach out to me whose child's 6.5. And she's like, she's been asking questions. She wants to know more. She wants to be engaged with other kids. I know the program's for 7-year-olds. What do you think? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. Try it out. Like I suggested the mom get on, try it out, see if the information would fit her child's needs and developmental level. But it's things like that. Like this isn't hard. Nothing is concrete. There's always gray area. This, like Deanna said, is very developmental focused, but if you think your child needs something older or younger, I mean, that's why one of the reasons why we did it like this too.
Yeah, it's very fluid. Yeah. So when you click on, let's say, that 7 through 11 module, it brings you to kind of like a collapsible format page here. And Annie's going to kind of talk about how that's organized and what is included in every module.
Yes. So Deanna has organized this so wonderfully that it should be very easy just for you to go through and click. So I usually try to do most things like we have an activity, maybe there's an interaction, and then the discussion, or maybe there's resources. Those will all be, listed just how they are. And so if you want to look at resources first and just see what's on there for resources, sure, click that and see what books I have listed. Sorry, there's like a fly around here. There's might be some books listed or a podcast or a video, and that's on there. Whatever activity that I've made for that month, we usually have what supplies you will need, the purpose of it, how you can use it, maybe some modifications you can make to kind of make it your own. So that this is all very much, it's exactly how you see it here. You click on each one and it'll take you right to it.
Yes. So like, let's say we click on the activity and it brings you to a page and the activity is embedded in that page. So you actually see it pop up as it is, but there is an option to download it too. Annie, I'll let you take the rest of it from here.
No. And so this is just like what we would have mailed to you at your house last year if you were part of the program last year. But instead, this is you can click on this. This pops up big on your screen. You can see the supplies you need, the directions, and like I said, and how to use it. So if you and the option I think to print it is awesome too. That way, if you see it and you need it there by you while you're making it, but this should all be pretty easy to do. We hope that you can just do this in your home, print it out on a piece of paper, or so you can just use this and make it at home. Like you should be able to just get a piece of paper and make this at home. Absolutely. If you don't have the option to print it.
Yes. Now you also mentioned, because for SOAR specifically, it's very intentional. We have an activity. We'll often have something called an interaction. So if you kind of want to review what an interaction looks like,
yes,
here's the sample.
Yes. And this kind of came off of our groups we were doing last year. It was the 5-week program. So we kind of had a topic each week that we were focusing on or working towards. And so with like this first one, it's just about introducing ourselves, making connections. This is the first month that we're doing this. So it is, but how can we change that a little bit and even expand it to making new friends outside of this group? So that's why I focused on connecting and growing with other people. Well, how do we do that? Because for some kids, that's really hard to do. So what can we do to meet other friends? What suggestions do we need? So that's what this one this one is about is it gives tips, and it actually, I think I even have on there, and our screen is kind of little, but like actual dialogue that they can use.
Yes.
And then this is something that parents and kids can interact with together. I give them tips on how can we do this together? Is there a sibling in your house who can help you do this? Is there a parent? Go ahead and practice it before you go out and do it. So each month when we do the drop, there will also be these guidelines of what you can do based on our topic that we're doing for that month. So I try to have like a theme or a topic, and it's just, I try to make it so it's virtual.
And the activities, interactions, and discussions, the discussion, which is what we're going to talk about next, those are different for every age group. So it's not the same thing repeated. Everything's different and tailored to that developmental stage.
Yes.
So we won't, I guess you and I can talk, but I think we said not every time we'll have a discussion, but or at least if it will, it's optional, but encouraged. We never want to force anyone outside of their comfort zone to the point where they're resisting logging onto Canvas because they have to send a message to somebody in a monitor discussion. But the whole point is friendship and connection, a big chunk of it. So we wanted to extend that opportunity to people. So this is kind of like a sample discussion that we see in the modules this time around. And then there are other components like scaffolded application and stuff that Annie can talk about too.
Yes. So with the discussion, because we're not doing it all in a group, we're not meeting each other, this is just another option to do that. So this is just another way to connect with kids, talk with kids, share stuff about you, share stuff about questions you have, anything that you really want to know about and connect with other people. So this was our alternative to doing our groups. We can still connect. And then I'm always here too, to help connect, facilitate, encourage those questions. And I think we did have, that was on Super Sibs. We had like a fun, like pass the mic thing where Super Sibs could share different things. And we did have one of our siblings comment and put something on there, which I just loved. And I'm hoping that by doing this, other parents and kids will then find out, oh, this is that space to do that. This is that space to make that connection for discussion. So we won't always have discussions. That might be every couple of months or every other month or something like that. But I also might use the discussion to post like, hey, I found this cool resource. You guys watch this video and let me know what you think. It might just be something to kind of engage with them like that as well.
Or even like a photo drop, because I'm thinking of like time of year, like October, Halloween, if you trick or treated, upload a family of, or a photo of your family or you in your costume. Again, all optional. I know that some parents are going to be like, what am I putting online? We get that. That's why it's not being forced, right? It's all within your comfort level. Everything's monitored. And this is a closed group. So you have to have the access code to access it. So it is not open to the public. It is something where you have to be very intentional, and we're going to give you directions on how to register for all of this. So that way it's safe and monitored. Now I switch back and forth between calling it the Hangout space. Lately I've been like oscillating a little bit more towards the discovery. I think I like the word discovery better.
I think I do too. I noticed that. I was like, I like discovery space much better than the Hangout. Initially, I think last year we were calling it the Hangout, but I really like the discovery.
I like discovery. So,
I think we'll change it on there and we'll keep it as discovery. It looks kind of like a hangout room, which was the idea. But discovery definitely fits it better. So just as it's listed here, it has interactive games on here, but it also has in some of these, so each little icon is something that you can click on and it has something. So I think the music might be some suggestions for how you can meditate or make your body calm. The basketball and the soccer ball, I remember, are two different games. The dog is like a funny pet video or animal video, or it might even be the like nature, like a live cam for like watching nature or animals. And then the stethoscope is, I think, something to maybe kids' health, or it's something informative. It might even be my Canva doc that goes to what is HIE and explains what HIE is to kids. It's for kids. It explains it on their level of what it is. So that might be on there too. So each thing on each little icon on here in picture talks about something. It might be a song, a game. And
Yeah.
I think I have some Go Noodle songs on here about inclusion. And it's just kind of a fun song about, why everyone is friends and included. So different things like that.
Yeah, and I remember because I attended one of the original, like, kind of SOAR pilot sessions, virtual sessions that you did back in the fall of 24, and this was by far, and after looking at all the feedback, this was the most loved part. It's just fun to have this kind of, it pops up, and again, Annie said you click it and it brings you to a game or an activity or something, and kids really loved it. And what's cool about this is, we can make new ones all the time with different themes, like and different games, and without losing the previous one. So if a kid like me, you become hyper focused on something you love and you have to do it every day, you're not going to lose that link. It's just going to be on an archived slide that you still have access to. So I like that too.
Yes. And again, for our kids who were on it last year, that hangout or discovery space is different from the one that we did in our group. So there are some things that are the same, but some things have been updated. And like Deanna said, I already have another one that is more like medical focused that we'll be dropping like in a couple months. So just kind of be on the lookout for that. But that doesn't mean that discovery space won't be there
available. So this, sorry, Annie, your face is blocked from the tiny URL. So this is how to register if you haven't already for SOAR. Right now, we are still doing it via a Google form. And the way it works is this: you sign up, and then I add your parental information and email address to our mailing list that comes through Constant Contact. And that will be added to that list of communication. We will send out our first email today with this access code to SOAR in the next hour or so, by end of day, because I wanted to attach this virtual tour to it, et cetera, et cetera. But make sure that you register on this form, because there are a bunch of ways to get the access code, I guess, if you email me, but it is important that your child is on this registration form, because it means that we have a good shipping address for you for those fun mail drops. It means that we have an updated email address, so you get communication, so that way when we do have a digital drop monthly, that we send a message, say, hey, we did a digital drop, log on and see what's new. And that way you're not like, oh, I didn't know. And then on this form, it also allows you to input any needs, accommodations, interests, affinities, et cetera, of your child. And that way we take that into consideration very heavily when Annie is programming this, because she's tailoring the content to your child's needs. So we need to know what your child's needs are and interest level, interests and affinities are, so that way we can tailor it to them. So you can register at any time. The sooner you register, of course, the sooner you can access the online platform and the more mail drops you get, essentially. But yeah, so I'll leave that up just for a second. And then we are going to now transition into Super Sibs. Now, Super Sibs, let me hide this and we'll go. Annie's going to talk about what it is. Again, we're still using Canvas, and there are 2 Super Sib programs. There's Super Sibs, and then for siblings of children living with HIE. But we also have a loss program, programming for them, families who have siblings of a child who has died from HIE, because they deserve different content and they have different needs and circumstances. So go for it, Annie.
Yes. Super Sibs was one of our first programs we got started when I first started with Hope for HIE. So I love this program. I love supporting siblings. It's always been a huge goal of mine when I first started in the community, and especially with Hope. So I'm always open to feedback too. So any parents or kids, whatever ideas and things that you want to see, please let me know. The main goal is we wanted to support our Super Sibs, right? They're on this journey too. So helping them with that social emotional support, helping them with the coping skills, because going through this journey and watching your sibling have different medical experiences can be really hard and really stressful. Going to school, your siblings say all the time, school's really hard. And it's really hard if your parents are gone and at appointments and in the hospital. So we want to help provide that outlet and help provide those opportunities for expression and giving ideas for coping skills. at the same time, while we're helping support all of those needs, building that medical understanding is very important. We need it's just as important for the sibling to know, as the parent, as the patient, to understand what is happening. So what is HIE? What does it mean when you have to go see the pulmonologist, and who is the pulmonologist, and oh, what do my lungs do, and what does my brain do? So there's so many different things. And as a child life specialist, and I worked in hospital, that's what I did. I helped kids cope with and understand these different medical procedures and diagnosis. And we also, one of our main goals is to just increase that family bonding. A sibling relationship is like no other relationship in your life. Siblings you have the same, the same parents, a lot of the same experiences. And no one else really has the same type of relationship as that as siblings. So we want to make sure we're strengthening those sibling relationships, but also strengthening and giving ideas to the parent-child relationship and bond. So this is kind of the main goal of Super Sibs. And then we do that through different, and we'll talk about that, the activities and resources and things like that.
And something that should be on this slide, and I will make sure to add it before I send it out, is for the Lost Super Sibs, memory and meaning making.
Yes.
Right. That was a lot of M's. I just threw myself off there.
Yeah, no, that's right. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. And like you said, that's why we do have the 2 separate programs, because the needs are different. And I want to make sure that each group is getting exactly the type of support that is important, most important for them at the time.
Yes. Yes. So Super Sibs works very similarly to SOAR. We still have the virtual component. We still have drops. The drops might look a little bit different. SOAR is going to be kind of like a big drop monthly, followed by a smaller one, whereas Super Sibs is going to be a little bit more quarterly, right, Annie? But they're bigger.
Yep. Yeah. Yes. And this is the same type of format we did last year that was like through mail. So it's quarterly drops. It will include activities that you can do on your own, activities you can do with a friend or a family member, including that we want to include the family bonding type of activities or sibling bond activities. It might be coping skill activities, creative expression, the resources, the just different maybe books or activities you can do. So everything is just, I try to keep it about the same every quarter, but sometimes it varies a little bit just based on like different things that I find that I'm like, I'm always looking and finding things. So I'm like, oh, this would be a really cool thing to include. And then I also want to share before I forget that sometimes if I find a cool resource that I think might be good for parents or siblings, I might just pop that in on the page or on our Facebook page as well. Like, oh, I found this resource. And instead of saving it for a drop, I'm just going to put that in separately because I think it might be something that would be helpful.
Yeah. And you and I talked about the helpful resources section in a module just being a growing document. So it's not like there's a new one every month. It just gets moved down. So it's easy to access. But by a year from now, right now, let's say we have 3 resources. A year from now, we're going to have 15 plus, because every time we're going to add more onto it and it's just there.
Yes. I'm glad you remind me of that we did talk about that. So I don't just have like,
right.
I find so many. So I think, having them all in one place. We'll categorize them and have titles on them so they're easy to access for everyone. But I find great support. The families I've worked with have found great support in different resources other than this. And like Deanna said, we have the 2 different programs. We have 5 age groups for Super Sibs. So this is for Super Sibs and for our Super Sibs Lost program. The 0 to 3 is mainly for parents. Yeah. So most of that is resources for you to help with your child. It's activities you can do with your child and a lot of it is sensory oriented too, because that's how that age group learns a lot, is through their experiencing and exploring through their senses. And then we do 4 to 5, 6 to 10. I think 6 to 10 is probably our biggest age group that we have.
4 to 5 and 6 to 10 are the biggest ones.
Yeah. And then 11 to 13 and 14 and plus. So I think the older kids are definitely our smallest for sure, because they're teenagers and that's cool. But that stuff is tailored definitely for the teenagers. The things that I'm not giving the 6 to 10-year-olds is definitely not the same as the teenagers. Like I work with 4-year-olds and I work with 16-year-olds. So
Yeah.
I want to make sure it's appropriate for everyone.
Yeah.
And then we're also going to, as we talked about with SOAR, the virtual meetups, that's going to be maybe a couple times a year as well. I didn't really talk about the cadence of that. If we're going to incorporate teleplay with Super Sibs as well. And so, but when we do that with Super Sibs and SOAR, we'll do one every month, but it's going to hop between SOAR will be 1 month, Super Sibs will be 1 month, Super Sibs Lost will be another month. So it will end up being a couple times a year for each group, even though I'll be doing it once a month with Project Sunshine and Teleplay.
Yeah. So if you're like child, your Super Sib is in the 6 to 10 age group, realistically, it'll probably be what, like 2 times a year, virtual meetups, you know,
I think
by the time we get through all the age groups.
Yeah, and we'll send out more information about it. It's not going to be as specific. It's not going to be a 4 to 5. Like it's going to be a larger age group because that's how Project Sunshine does it.
Got it.
So it might be 2 age groups, and that's how they do it. And it's just going to be like, hey, it's on this day at this time. Here's the link. Join. So any Super Sib's just going to get the link to join. So it should be, it should be. But we will. Deanna and I are going to talk, and we'll get all that ironed out. And that's why another reason why it's important for us to get all that information on that Google form. Yeah.
Well, I do love that though, because now that means they could meet more often too, because I like that.
And there's no RSVP. Like if you're home on a whatever night we do it and you can join, click on and join. So then virtual hangouts, it's the same type of thing that we just did with the although I'm going to stick to Discovery Space. I'm
going to change it. I like it.
I know I did make one specifically I've made a few for Super Sibs as well. And there is one again for them, like I said, with SOAR that was more medical focused. It looks kind of like a waiting room area. And it's a place for them to be able to learn about different things related to the hospital doctor office. But there's going to be fun ones too, where it offers the same types of thing of coping skills, coping techniques, just fun games, something interactive, things that they may like. And then as always, like I said, we always plug in the resources, and we'll do the resources for Super Sibs.
Perfect.
As well.
Very similar. Just again, this is all created by Annie, who's certified and has years of expertise. Same with SOAR. It's not a one and done 1 year membership type of situation. You get something new every year, and we want to make sure that you are registered properly so you can still get those fun mail drops. This is the inside look at a homepage. Again, it's interactive. So when you log on, things are moving and it's fun and it's interesting. I tried once again to make it very easy and accessible for everybody. So there's a start here button. You should probably start there, and then you go to the age group. Something else that I know we talked about how fluid this is, but a limitation we had when we were doing it in previous years where it was only male only. If you signed up that year for a 0 to 3 age group, or 4 to 5, but then your child turned 6 and is on the cusp of a new thing, for the rest of the year, you were still kind of receiving that 4 to 5 content. And that was frustrating for some people. And that's why this just makes so much more sense to us. But essentially, you click on the icon, it brings you to the module. And inside that module, you're going to it's be categorized by month, same format as SOAR. You're going to have activities. Because Super Sibs only really have quarterly drops, typically we give more activities to kind of further make it last a little bit longer. Potential discussions and resources. So, I mean, it's very similar. I feel like probably it's better, and if we just kind of look at an example of an activity, like this is one. I think I can't remember if this is 4 to 5 or 6 to 10, but
I think this is 6 to 10. But I also most of them are pretty much the same. I try to keep it the same for each one. It's like an activity, some type of a coping strategy or coping suggestion that it also could be incorporated as an activity, and then resources. That's usually the main gist of all of it. So many different activities. Something that we wanted to mention too is that because these activities are embedded in the page, so when you open up that activity, it just kind of appears. It's not like it brings you to another external browser. Sometimes the activities are more than 1 page long. And that's why I wanted to kind of draw attention to hover over that space, because it'll say, oh, move to page 2. So it's just one of those things, right? It's like you finish a test and you're 30 minutes before everyone else, and you're like, was there a backside to it? I just want to just do your due diligence and make sure that you're getting all of the content. Yeah.
I also wanted to showcase Super Sibs loss materials too. You know,
Oh, yeah.
this was another one that I thought I loved the idea you came up with here. So we just wanted to showcase that different activities are
Yes.
tailored for different circumstances and support programming.
Yeah, no, in this page and these pictures, like I feel like you nailed it on what I do because I've done this activity with other kids. And I meant to actually bring one because I did this activity yesterday with
Yeah.
a grief family and we made some of these and I was like, oh, I'll bring that. And so I forgot. But these pictures like are exactly what how it comes to life. So it's
Yeah.
well done. I love it.
Yeah. And just in terms of like, there are, like I said, sometimes a lot of supplies maybe that are listed, but Annie and I talked before we started any of this, and Annie made it a point to say I have to be super intentional about what I'm asking families to do with these activities because a lot of these should just hopefully are like household items that you have. So again, the whole point is for it to be accessible and inclusive, and
Mhm.
that there should
Yeah.
be very little to absolutely no financial burden on anyone. So you don't feel like you signed up for a program and you can't participate because you have to go buy glitter. You don't have to go
Right.
so like it's, and that's why there's a lot of options. There's a lot of different choices, and they're all embedded in the directions of these activities.
Mhm.
So again, it just goes back to that. We have thought and brainstormed about every single aspect of
Mhm.
this support programming to make sure that it's feasible and accessible and
Yeah.
inclusive. So
And these are just the ideas. So,
yeah.
I mean, you guys take it and run with it. That's
Right,
my
right, right,
hope
right.
too. Like, here's your idea, but I mean, kids are so creative. They're going to like do their own thing with it anyway. So,
That's so
send
true.
us your pictures. We want to see the pictures too. That's another thing.
Yeah,
There's a
yeah.
place to put photos so kids do it and then they can see what each other are making. I think that's also a fun thing for them to be able to do with one another.
Yeah. So going back to that discovery space, you've talked about it before. The concept is the same for every support programming. It's somewhere, I mean, it's interactive games, videos, relaxation, coping, um, videos, techniques,
Mhm.
understanding medical understanding and building upon
Mhm.
that. But I know they look similar, but for Super Sibs and Lost Super Sibs, when you click on these things, they do bring you to different content,
Yeah.
again, tailored to your child's needs. So that's
Yep.
something that. And then registration for Super Sibs is a little bit different than SOAR. SOAR is just kind of like all together in one Google page. Super Sibs, this is, it depends on who you are and when you're starting. So if you are a brand new member, meaning your child has never done Super Sibs before, especially in that 2024 year, then we want you to go to, let me add the banner here, shop.hopeforhie.org. This is kind of like our Shopify website. Our fulfillment center bundled, shout out, in Michigan handles all of these. And the reason why we want you to register on here is because if you register for our welcome kit, you get the welcome kit. And it's an in-person thing. It tells you what Super Sibs is all about. It gives you an in-person activity. So even though we moved to this virtual platform, we kept that component of it. And that way you're starting your experience out with something in the mail and activity, and it's lovely. So we want to make sure you get that. So you can scan the QR code, brings you directly to the page. You can go to shop.hopeforhie.org if you are a brand new member. Now, for those of you who, let me hide this and move to the next slide. For those of you who joined us in the 2024 year and you're back for 2025 or want to be back, you are officially categorized as a recurring or renewing member. And we want you to go to our Google form just to make sure that we have updated shipping address information for this fun mail drops. We have a proper email address to contact you, the parent or legal guardian or aunt and uncle or whomever you may be, to make sure that you get updated comms when we do these quarterly drops. And then again, inform us of any needs, special interest things, feedback, anything that you'd want to see. This is kind of still our like centralized hub of where we find all and gather all this information. Now, the way this works for everything is when I get notified either on the form or via our Shopify site that you signed up, I add you to our constant contact list. That's just this comms platform we use to send out this nice email. that email will send you the access code. Now, depending on when you sign up, maybe it's a week or two from now or months from now, you might just get an email from me or Annie with the access code. But long story short, it's going to come from someone on our team, whether it's through our personal email or if it's through Constant Contact. That changes just depending on circumstances. So just make sure you register. You will receive your access code, and then you can join the course. So for our Super Sibs Lost and Super Sibs programming, we dropped that back in March. So that's kind of been ongoing now for, I guess, 2 months. That was quick. I'm like, oh, we got to gear up for the next stop here. And then SOAR is launching officially today. So if you have joined us for this, congrats. You are going to watch SOAR get the official published button. And then we will send out the access code to those who have signed up today, or, a couple weeks before. You're going to get that email by the end of the day today, so you can start logging on and joining. So that's pretty exciting. And then who's who? I'm Deanna, and this is Annie, and this is who you talk to if you have any questions about this. You can, of course, also reach out to outreach@hopeforhia.org. And then that'll get forwarded to us. But it does make a lot of sense to see if you have a question about content, a question about the program itself. It's best if you email Annie, because Annie is going to be the one to be able to answer that for you. Now, if you have a question about, did I register or did I not register? I can't remember. I don't know how to use Canvas, or something's going on, something's funky and I can't figure it out. You talk to me. And then my email is Deanna@hopeforhia.org as well. So this is all going to be on our blog that we publish. It's going to be on our key takeaways and our social squares that we post shortly, potentially even today. So we're just so excited to have everyone join and be part of this. And we appreciate you sticking with us for the last, I'm looking at how much time have we been on?
I know.
Here? 51 minutes and 5 seconds. Yeah. Thanks. So we're just grateful that you're here, and we hope it gave you kind of a little glimpse into this support programming. Annie, any final words before we press the end stream button here?
I don't think so. I feel like we've talked about it, and everybody should know. Just let us know if you have questions and give us your feedback. I love feedback.
Yeah. All right. I love it. Thank you so much. Thanks again for an amazing HIE Awareness Month, because, tomorrow is May and we're kind of coming out to a close here. But speaking of hope and action, I mean, again, Annie, you've just been working so hard to get all of this, and we just love you. And we're so grateful that you're on this team and creating such wonderful content for our kids. So until next time, we'll see you in May. We have a camp safety and inclusion Q&A coming up in May. And in June, we are going to be talking about an HIE diagnosis to your children. So we have a lot of wonderful things coming up. So just kind of stay tuned, look on our social pages, check out our event page at hopeforhia.org/events, and you can just kind of stay up to date with all that's going on. So until next time, everybody.
Thank you.